Hello everyone, so are you all excited for this 10 days SQL challenge? I am Kalyani Bhatnagar and I warmly welcome you all. Let's start this learning journey together. Guys, I can relate with you as I have seen so many learners running around joining one course after another, but honestly, no one really tells you how to build confidence for interviews. From my experience, once you start doing hands-on projects, you automatically start feeling more confident because you are actually doing it. But I also know it is not easy to stay consistent when you are learning alone. It gets sometimes so confusing, or you don't know where to start, what to do next. So that's the reason why I exactly started DataPencil. You can learn through projects and gain confidence for interviews. So this beginner friendly project challenge is absolutely free of cost. You will get the certificate with zero cost. And I believe that our time and attention is the most precious things in this whole world. Before giving it to anywhere, irrespective of the scenarios, think twice because it is the most precious thing you have. You might be jobless today, but you are the richest person for a businessman. I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say. So stay aligned with your goal and do hard work as much as possible and get your job without offering your time and attention to any place unnecessarily. It can be social media or anywhere else. Okay, so now let's see a quick recap about this challenge. Some basic rules. So the duration of this challenge will be 10 days. It is absolutely beginner friendly. And the starting date is 10th of July, which is today. The data set that we will use is online food delivery. Absolutely free to join. After completion, you will get a certificate. And at the end of each day, you have to upload the screenshots of your query as well as your result. The submission link is there in the description box as well as you can see it in the comment section. The most important thing is, guys, that only those who complete all 10 days and submit all queries will be eligible for certificate, and limited certificates are available. And nothing to worry, if you will miss this round, then you will get the priority in the next challenge. Guidance language throughout will be English as well as where I will see that our Hindi viewers might feel difficulty, so I will translate it in Hindi as well. जहाँ पे भी requirement होगी मैं हिंदी में भी translate करूँगी. English language जितनी भी use होगी वो बहुत ही easy और basic होगी. आप लोग को समझने में बिल्कुल भी problem नहीं आएगी. Now, today what we are going to build. So at the very first we will download the data set. Then we will see all the tables. Then the most important thing, the core of this project is ER diagram, and we will discuss this ER diagram. Then I will show 2 demo queries, and after that you will get your 3 tasks for today's challenge. So let's begin now. This is the link of the dataset that you simply have to copy and then open your browser where you have to paste it. And you can see a zip file which you have to download from here. And then we will have to save it in a separate folder, which is online food delivery project. Now we have to extract it, and let's extract here. After extracting, you can see all our 5 tables. Let's open all of them one by one. Now you can see we have our customers table, and it is having total 5 columns. Customer ID, customer name, sign up date. Then there is menu items table. Here you can see total 4 columns. Item ID, restaurant ID, item name, and then the price. And then there is order details table. Here you can see 4 columns: order details ID, order ID, item ID, and then the quantity. And then you can see the orders table. Here you can see again the 4 columns, which is which are order ID, customer ID, restaurant ID, and then the order date. And then the last one is the restaurant table. Here you can see restaurant ID, restaurant name, city, and the registration date. Okay. Now very basic thing is, why do we create tables? So tables basically we create to gather the data of that particular entity. Entity can be restaurant. So if we want to gather the data restaurant related, then we will create a restaurant table. There will be restaurant ID, restaurant name, and so on. Similarly, we have created the customers table. This table contains what? Customer related data. Now it's time to see our ER diagram concept that will be very helpful for our project. Okay, so have you seen this picture in the movies? This is a detective board where detectives do what? They basically, detectives क्या करते हैं movies में? They basically gather different information, अलग-अलग information को इकट्ठा करते हैं और फिर उनके बीच में relationship establish करने की कोशिश करते हैं. They try to establish the relationship between these different information so that they can get the clue, so that they can reach their goal. Okay, the same way we will also see the different relationships between our tables. Here you can see we have total 5 tables. Okay, now just consider this white space as a garden, and now we have started walking through this. So at the very first we got this customer table. Now discuss it quickly. So here in this customer table we can see customer related information. Okay, now the first column talks about customer ID, then it is customer name, email, city, and the sign up date. Customer ID is something that cannot contain duplicate values. Customer ID में कोई भी duplicate value exist नहीं कर सकती है. Each customer must have a unique ID. So if any column contains unique ID and it belongs to the same table, here customer ID contains unique values as well as the source table of this customer ID is customers, as well as source table for this is also this customer table, right? So such column will be called as primary key, and in this table there is only one primary key, which is customer ID. Why? Because customer name column can have duplicate values. Two name can be same. Email can have duplicate. Same with the city, can have duplicacy, and the date also. So now here we have seen that this table contains only one unique column and that belongs to this table only. So it is called as primary key. Okay, so here customer ID is a primary key. Now it's time to go to this table, which is restaurant table. Now in restaurant table, in the same way, this restaurant ID is carrying unique values as well as the source table is this restaurant table only. So here the primary key is restaurant ID, and rest of the columns will not be called as primary key because they have the duplicate values. Okay, now come to the third table, which is menu item table. Here you can see item ID, and this item ID is telling the IDs of the menu items. Okay, so this is something original, and its source table is this menu item table itself. Okay, now let's talk about the rest of the columns. Here you can see restaurant ID. This is a unique valued column, but this restaurant ID doesn't belong to this table. ये इस table को belong नहीं करती है. ये restaurant ID कहीं बाहर से आई है और ये आई है restaurant table से. So इसलिए हम इसको as a foreigner treat करेंगे. Okay, and foreigner treat करने की वजह से अब हम इसको नाम देंगे foreign key का. Foreign keys की क्या स्पेशलिटी होती है? It contains unique values as well as it belongs to the different table. Okay, so we have covered table this, and table this. Now come to the orders table. Here in the orders table, order ID is related to this orders table, right? Its source table is orders table, because in the orders table what we will generate? We will generate definitely order ID, right? Now come to the customer ID. Customer ID doesn't belong to this table. Customer ID's original table is this customer table. So here it will work as a foreigner, and foreigners will termed as foreign key. Same with the restaurant ID. Its original table is this restaurant table. So it will termed as again foreign key. Okay, so here in the orders table we have seen there is one primary key which is order ID and two foreign keys which is customer ID and the restaurant ID. Now the last table here we have one primary key which is order details ID because it's belong to this table only. Then the order ID and item ID will be termed as foreign key. Why? Because they came from different tables. Okay, and then the last one is the quantity. We will not consider it either primary key either foreign key because it has definitely some duplicate values. Okay, so this is something about the relationship, how these tables are related to each other. So this customer table and order tables are related to each other through this customer ID. Orders table and restaurant table related to each other through this restaurant ID. Okay, menu item table and this restaurant tables are connected with each other through this restaurant ID. And same for the orders table. Here orders table is connected with this restaurant table through this restaurant ID and with this order details table through this order ID, and same with this order details. So this is the web एक तरह का जाल है that we have seen how they all are interconnected with each other. Okay, ये सब आपस में कैसे connected है. Now the very important step is to create all these table in MySQL workbench so that we can execute our queries. But it is not that easy and not difficult also. If we will create the tables in random way, then we will have some errors. हम randomly कोई भी टेबल उठा के क्रिएट करना SQL में स्टार्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, वहां पे टेबल क्रिएशन के कुछ रूल्स हैं and that rule is first place पे at the very first place we will create only those tables which have primary key. Okay, we will create only those table which have primary key, only primary key. So the tables which have only primary key are customer table and this restaurant table, right? So at the very first place we will create these two tables. Then we can create the tables which have primary key as well as least number of foreign key. Least number of foreign key. So least number of foreign key contains this table. After creating customer table and restaurant table, we can create this menu item table. Why? Because it has this foreign key which is restaurant ID, and restaurant ID source table must be created before creating this table. So we have already completed this procedure, right? Now after completing the creation of menu item tables, now it's time to create the second highest foreign keys table, which is orders table. Here also there are two foreign keys only, but see, we will firstly go with this order table. Why? Because it has two foreign keys, which is customer ID and restaurant ID, and their source tables we have already created. Customer tables and restaurant tables we have already created. So now we are free to create this order table, and then at last we will create this order details table. Now by this we have seen how to create the tables. Now it's time to create tables one by one. So for that, open MySQL workbench. If by any chance you don't have MySQL workbench, then you can message me personally on my WhatsApp number. I will guide you there. So here you can see MySQL workbench. Now we will follow some steps one by one, and the first step is to create database. As you all know some basics, so this is MySQL workbench, and now the very first step is to create database. Database is like a house for the tables. All 5 tables will go in this database, in this house, and the name of this database I am taking as online food delivery database. Okay, database. Now how to create database? So the syntax is create database. We firstly have to write create, then database, and then we have to give the name of our database that we have chosen, this one. Okay, and then the semicolon, and now run it. After running, You will have to refresh from here, and then after refreshing you can see that your online food delivery database is here. Now to activate this database we have to instruct the SQL like this, that now use, we have to write use and then the name of our database, which is this, and then colon. Now run it again. Now you can see it is highlighted. That means whatever work we will do, it will go in this database. Okay, so our first step is to create the database. Now it's time to create the tables. And you remember the sequence of the table. So sequence will be, firstly we will create customer table. Then after that we will create restaurant table. After restaurant we will create menu items table. And then order table. And at last order detail table. Correct? On the basis of that primary and foreign key concept. Now let's start our first table, which is customer table. So to create the table, the syntax is, firstly we have to write create and then table, and then we have to give the name of the table. So the name of the table is customers. After giving the name, we will open the parenthesis, this bracket, and then in this bracket we have to mention three things. Okay, the three things will be column name, the data type of that column name, and then the constant. Constant means any simple rule which is applicable for that particular column. So we will provide one by one all the details. So our first column was customer ID. Then its data type will be integer, and customer ID was the primary key. So we have to mention it here, primary key. Now comma, then we have to provide the second column name, which is customer name. Its data type will be varchar, and let's give the limit as 60, and then no constant I'm giving here. Then after that the third one is email, and it's again varchar, and it is also 60. Then the fourth one is city, and its data type is again varchar. No rule, no constant applicable here. It can be applicable, basically I am not applying here right now. Then sign up date, and its data type will be date, data type. Right? Now all columns are covered. Now it's time to close the parenthesis and give the colon. This is the end of our code. Now we have to run this, and after refreshing we can see the arrow here. Our customer table basic structure has been created. Okay, it is empty. Now it's time to fill the data, to populate the data. अब हम यहाँ पे data fill करेंगे. So for that click over this icon, which is table icon, and click over here data import wizard. Now give the file path. So this is the file path, customers table. Then next, use existing table. Next, next, again next. Now you can see finished performing task. All rows has been imported. All rows have been imported. Now when we click again, then we can see that this table is now filled with the data, right? Then the second table that we have to create is restaurant table. So for that again we need to write create table and the name of the table. Now opening of parenthesis, and then we will provide all the column names one by one along with data type and constant if any. So it is restaurant ID, integer, and it was primary key, comma, restaurant name, its data type was varchar, comma, no constant I'm giving here, city, its data type is varchar, comma, registration date, and its data type is date, and then closing of this parenthesis, and then colon. Now let's run it. Now after running, we can see our second table is also created. Now we have to click over this link and import wizard. Here we have to provide the path of restaurant tables. Now next, next, again next, and again next, and here our task is finished, and then here finished. Now after clicking it, we can see now restaurant table is also filled with the data. Fine. Now it's time to create our third table, which is menu item table. Okay, I did something. Table. Now this table is important, guys. This will be helpful in your today's task. So see it carefully. So for that, we firstly need to write create table, and the name of the table is menu item. Now opening of the parenthesis, and then the first column, which is item ID, and it is integer, and the constant that we are applying here is primary key. Then the second one is restaurant ID, and it is integer data type. Now this restaurant ID doesn't belong to this table, menu table. It belongs to which table? To restaurant table, right? So it is working here as a foreign key. So how we will mention the foreign key here? Just hold on for a minute, then you will see. Firstly, let's write all remaining columns, which are item name, and then its data type is varchar, and then its price, and its data type is decimal. Now it's time to mention our next constant, which is about the foreign key. So for that, we need to write constant. We have to give the name of this constant, and the name of this constant is foreign key FK menu restaurant. I am giving this. Why I am giving this constant, this rule basically a name. Why I am giving this rule a name? So that if any error will come, we can see the direct name of this constant. Okay, and we will get to know, okay, this error is about this particular constant. Fine. Then we have to write foreign key, and we have to mention the name of foreign key now, which is restaurant ID. Now we have to give the reference from where it is taken. So it has taken from the restaurant table, which is the source table of this column. So for that means to give the reference, we have to write this word references, and then the name of the source table, which is restaurant, and then the column name, which is restaurant ID. Then close this, and close the parenthesis of main code. Now let's run it. Okay, some spelling error here, restaurant ID. Fine. Now let's run it again. I have given, okay, here also it's restaurant. Fine. Now we can see menu item table has been created, and when we will click over this link, then we can see the basic structure. Now it's time to import the data, and for that click over this import wizard, then give the path of menu items table. Now next, next, and again next, and all our rows have been imported. Now finish. So guys, here you can see all our 3 tables have been created, as well as we have populated the data. हमने data भी insert कर दिया. Now it's time for your challenge. Let's see how many of you are ready to take this challenge. So your challenge and your today's tasks are, now here is your today's tasks. This list and everything that you did today, you will get all at one place in a PDF. And for the updates and the material, you can DM me on Instagram. You simply have to search DataPencil, and then you can DM me for the resources. And after completing all your tasks, that means after completing all your tables, the last thing that you have to do is you have to press the Ctrl S, means you are Now saving this file, okay, I have already saved. Let's take the example of another file. Suppose you have to save this file, okay, so what you have to do, Control S, and then give the path. So give the same path where you have downloaded your data set, and there you have to write the name of your file. I have given this name, table creation, and you can give it the same name, table creation, or whatever you want. So suppose you are giving this, and then you have to write .sql. okay, by doing this your file will be saved. Now whenever you want you can open it, and with this way you have to save all your files. So this is it for today's video, guys. Rest of the information I will provide you through the PDF. Take care, guys. Keep practicing. Bye bye.